Beijing has just held a half marathon with a difference, with human runners left standing by a record-breaking robot. Take a look at this. Thousands of men and women gathered at the start line just as in any other road race, but they were taking on dozens of robots showing off their rapidly developing athletic and navigation skills. Humans and humanoids ran in separate lanes to avoid accidents or collisions. It's the only global event of its kind featuring more than 100 robot runners, including international teams from Germany, France and Brazil. The winner, the aptly named Lightning, put in an astonishing performance, finishing the 21-kilometer course in 50 minutes and 26 seconds, nearly 7 minutes faster than the current men's half-marathon record. The first human to cross the line was a 29-year-old Chinese runner who admits he was soundly beaten by the machine.
In the first 5 kilometers, 5 or 6 robots ran past me. The robot in red had very heavy footsteps and it was running incredibly fast. Its speed was much higher than mine.
Let's get some expertise now with Ravinder Dahiya. He's a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Northeastern University in Boston and is also a specialist in robotic touch sensing. Ravinder, a humanoid beating a human for the first time. What does this tell us about the development and advancement of robotics?
Well, thank you for having me. I would say this is an important milestone, but at the same time, I feel it's a symbolic because it's more of a symbolic rather than a fundamental breakthrough. Because it reflects how far robotics have come since we saw Humanoids by Sony, almost 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. Sony Asimo we have seen walking up the stairs, etc. So there's a lot that has happened during this time in terms of energy efficiency, motor control, and mechanical design. And when I compare this type of the real life-like movements by humanoids, which is impressive. When I compare these movements with the Honda Asimo type robots, or that was, as I said some time ago, I'm seeing a lot in terms of better batteries, lightweight materials, and more precise actuation, all leading to this half marathon that you were showing a while ago. In terms of endurance and optimization. So that's quite impressive in my view.
And explain to us in simple language how these robots are acquiring the athletic ability to run so fast.
All right, there are 3 main reasons here. One is the better hardware, then better control and better learning also. Now, when you look at these modern robots, they use efficient motors. They have much more improved batteries are available these days, which allow longer and more powerful movements. And also advances in control systems have helped maintain better balance and coordination while these robots are running or making lifelike movements. Now, on top of that, we see these days AI, which is being used for optimization and for learning also. So, in a sense, learning optimal movements patterns through simulation and the data which is available, which has been collected over several years of period in past. So, instead of being explicitly programmed for every movement or every motion, these robots are able to refine their movements over a period of time. Similar to, if you were to draw a parallel, it would be similar to athletes improving their performance with training.
Okay, so definitely an advancement in artificial intelligence. But now let's look at these images of mechanical watchdogs produced by Chinese manufacturer. These robotic dogs with night vision can patrol industrial sites and residential properties. Is this a sign that robots are now increasingly becoming part of our lives?
In some sense, yes, but I would also say that it's a gradual and function-specific way. So they are entering domains where they provide immediate value. As an example, security, inspection, and monitoring. And these are pretty much structured environment, or let's say semi-structured environment, where tasks are very well defined, the environment is very well defined. So rather than becoming universally present in daily life, these robots are steadily embedding themselves into specific roles across our society.
Okay, so now look at another video. This video is from Google DeepMind. Here we see a robot performing routine household tasks such as handling clothes and sorting washing. The company says it shows how large language models can enable physical robots to think, plan, and complete complex tasks. Ravinder, tell us, are we at the stage where robots can actually think and plan on their own?
Well, answer is simple. Answer is no. I think we are in many cases we are, let's say, concluding more than what the actual situation looks like. I would say robots are definitely beginning to demonstrate early forms of planning, and but this should not be interpreted as we normally do. So we should be careful in terms of our interpretation. Systems such as the Google DeepMind you mentioned, they combine large language models with robotics to enable multi-step execution, and many of these are done in structured environment where robust data is already available. So this allows robots to break down instructions into sequence of actions, and so in that sense, when you see the sequence of action, it's nowhere close to human thinking. These systems rely heavily on learned patterns, and still they struggle when you see uncertainty. They would struggle if, let's say, the kind of the marathon we have seen. If many robots were running in parallel, you were seeing one robot running at one time. If they were running in parallel, that would be unstructured and dynamic environment, and things might change in those under those uncertainty conditions or ambiguity when ambiguity is presented by environment. So while progress is really significant, but I would say true autonomous reasoning remains a work in progress.
But is it safe to say that we are still not at that stage where we'll see robots part of our everyday lives in our homes?
At present, widespread deployment of robots in our homes still raises safety concerns. So while robots can be safe in controlled environment, examples I gave, homes are dynamic and unpredictable. A key limitation here is sensing, especially when we look at touch sensing. It's most of these robots, they don't have let's say, not even close to the sense of touch that you could think about in a simplest of the scenario. Certainly not close to humans here. Without proper tactile feedback, robots may not safely handle objects, or they may not interact naturally with humans. And achieving safety will require robust integration of multiple sensory modalities, including vision, touch, audio, etc., along with intelligent control. Once that happens, we may see more of these robots in humans. On the other hand, there are different type of robots that you already have in our life. For example, robots that are used for cleaning of carpets, etc. But they are very small versions of what we are seeing these days.
Ravinder, and we have seen machines playing an increasingly autonomous role in the war in Ukraine. China and the US are also working on robotic military applications. Is that something that should concern us all?
This will require careful consideration, in my view, and answer to your question is both yes and no. Now, when I look at the clear benefits, for example, using robots for landmine detection, bomb disposal, etc., where we can save human lives and reduce risk significantly, yes, it's clearly a good case of using robots in those applications. But when I look at the other side, where I see more serious concerns, and that would be as robots become more capable and autonomous, their use raises also ethical and scientific questions. As an example, issues such as accountability, decision making, potential misuse become critical. And there are cases, we deal across these days whenever there is digital electronics involved. We talk about cybersecurity as well. So those questions certainly raise concerns. So while the technology itself, when I look at technology itself, it's quite neutral, its application is not. And this itself underscores the need for strong ethical frameworks, policies, and also, I would say, international oversight.
And another question that worries a lot of people is, will ultimately robots take over most of the jobs that humans do now?
Robots would definitely change the future of work, but saying that it will overtake humans' jobs, I would say that's more of a transformation than replacement. So especially when you look at repetitive task, pick and place type of task in a factory setting, they can be physical demanding and hazardous. In those environments, robot replacing humans can be useful. It also helps in terms of improving quality of life while also raising the productivity. And many jobs will evolve in that process. So new roles will emerge for humans, which we need to see. As I said, future of work is something that will see that transformation. The key challenge for us would be to ensure how this transition is managed, and we manage it in such a way that is socially and economically inclusive.
And are there mechanisms in place that can check how the technology is being used?
This is a work in progress. I would say there are ethical side of robotics also being explored while we are advancing in research. Whether that ethical sides are in terms of AI or use of AI in robotics or robotic itself. So that is still a work in progress. As we see more and more robots entering into our daily life, whether that at homes, which is still I believe far away, but in public spaces we may see that, and with that policies will emerge, and that's still a work in progress. Yeah.
Ravinder Dahiya, Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering, thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for having me again. Yeah.
And what do you think about robots becoming a part of our everyday lives or of being part of the militaries? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe.